Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discourse episode 17. We're wrapping up our best of, worst of, just our general consensus on entertainment in 2021. And the last one we'll be covering today is our favorite live action TV shows of the previous year. I feel like I haven't seen as much television, but looking at my list recently, I was like, oh my God, actually, I have seen a lot of television. Which was it was quite surprising. But I imagine people are going to be covering all sorts of different shows. I think even we had some people off mic say that they wanted to bring up a couple of animated shows, which we have done in our previous Discourse. Please do check that out. That was an awesome conversation. We didn't all say Arcane. We did bring up some other animated shows. But I'll go ahead and I'll start. Arcane. What'd you say, Persimans?
But the correct answer is Arcane.
It was pretty good. Yeah, man. I mean, that's my. I'll say this at the start. Arcane is probably my just favorite thing of any like medium that has come out this year, whether it be video games or movies or TV shows or animation. It's just as like, wow, this thing's perfect. That and Mitchell's vs. the Machines. I guess those are my two favorite, my favorite things this year in entertainment. I thought they were so good. They just both happened to be animated. But I wanted to go ahead and give some focus to live action shows that we've seen this past year. I think there has been some really quality live action shows, some that have kind of caught us off guard. I didn't even know about. I was like, I don't even know what the hell that is. Is that a game? Which I'll go into detail in just a bit. But I'm just going to cover my top three. Start with my bottom third right now. And I want to go ahead and give a huge shout out to the Loki TV series. You know, as we know, Marvel, they released a lot of shows this past year. They did release, of course, some films. And the films, I will say, overall, they were kind of, I think this is probably one of the weakest starts to any phase that we've seen. Not that all the movies are bad. Even in the movies I didn't particularly care for, there were great elements to them. You know, I thought the year ended strong with something like Spider-Man No Way Home, which is an amazing movie, one of my favorites, superhero films of all time. Just a great entry in the Spider-Man franchise, if you will. But one of the things that stood out this year in terms of the television, which, we've got Wanda Vision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Hawkeye most recently, but Loki really stood out to me. And I think it was just one. I mean, you already have the charisma of Tom Hiddleston, playing this character. He's played for, God, at this point, a decade now, which is pretty incredible. I mean, before Loki, he was already appearing in things, but he was relatively unknown. And this is the role that made him. And seeing him in this show, it's just that he knows his character through and through. And they're evolving him from, being your prototypical villain. And now he's kind of like, a rogue, if you will. A little gray morality, but, maybe he does have a good heart because of all the things that he's gone through and the abuse and, his Napoleon complexes has always kind of affected him to such a degree that it's made him the person who he is. But hey, everyone can change. And I kind of like the message of the show, but it's also one of those Marvel shows that really embraced its weirdness. It was something similar to something like Wanda Vision, but Loki, I really love that we explored something like the Time Variance Authority, and they could have a goofy character like Miss Minutes, which is this 2D, 3D-esque anime character, and also having Owen Wilson, come in and play such a great foil to Tom Hiddleston's Loki. Just very impressive. Aesthetically, I just love the look of the film, kind of that 1960s retro look, which I'm a sucker for. I can't help it. But yeah, what it did, it expanded the MCU while expanding on a character that we all thought we kind of knew, but no, who is evolving, who can maybe get away from the villain moniker and become something else, which is, really refreshing and fun. So Loki is definitely my number three. Number two is a show. I didn't even realize it was a show until people kept telling me to watch it, which was Squid Game. I remember when I was streaming, oh God, I guess months ago at this point, people were asking me, have you checked out Squid Game? I was like, I haven't played that game yet. I don't know what that is. I was like, is that an Xbox game? I was so confused. And it wasn't until eventually I had to review it for doubletoasted.com. And I went, oh my God, now I see why everyone was getting on my ass about watching this show. It's a South Korean production that apparently no one had confidence in except Netflix. And they picked it up. And it is, you can tell what its influences are. Something like, battle royale, if you will, but I just love the concept of this show, which critiqued South Korean society and capitalism and while just giving us these horrifying game show-esque scenarios with really compelling characters. Yeah, it's definitely my second favorite show this year, and one I think a lot of us have on our best of list, and might even be number one for a lot of people. But for me, my number one to this day is Midnight Mass. I am a sucker for Mike Flanagan. I think he's an incredibly talented writer and director. This series is a supernatural horror show. If you like something like Stephen King's or Stephen King or Salem's Lot, then you're going to love this. This is Mike Flanagan on his A game. Focuses on this small religious community. I think off the coast of the northwestern United States, and you have this priest, this very charismatic priest, who wants to bring life back to this community, instill people with faith and passion, except there might be something else on the island that he brought with him, and it might be affecting other people. And it's, Mike Flanagan, the things that I think he loves to do, and some people don't like it, but he loves to focus on people who have various addictions, and this is what this show does, and I really like that. And he loves monologuing, and there are some grade A monologues in this. Everyone gets a monologue. if you're a main character or a secondary character, you're going to get a monologue. And Hamish Linkletter, who plays one of the main characters, the Father Paul Hill in this show, wow, absolutely incredible. Every time he appears on screen, I'm just captivated by his performance. And it's also a critique on faith. And what's interesting about this show, it's a critique on faith, but it's not demonizing faith as well, which is interesting. A lot of people thought like, oh, it's demonizing faith and Christianity. It's like, it's not that. Like, it really does get into the positive aspects and the negative aspects of organized religion and how it can help people and how it could be a disservice to people. And I know, as someone who I initially grew up Catholic, I don't practice anymore, but grew up Catholic, I recognize certain things that I was like, oh, like he's got this completely correct. He nailed it. And so I like that he didn't feel the need to like hit you like so many filmmakers would do, hit you over the head like religion is bad or something like that. It's so blunt. No, he like, no, let's thoroughly explore this, and having it be a critique on religion and addiction, and how one's faith can help them or not help them. I thought was great. And those monologues, man, I love those monologues. So Midnight Mass is my absolute favorite show from 2021. And so we'll go ahead and we'll move on to other people. I'm curious if everyone has these three shows on their list. But Vanny Sears, let me start with you. What are your favorite shows of 2021? Your favorite show of 2021?
So my list is 5. Same thing. Like there's, I didn't watch a whole lot of live action shows, but I have my constants that I was really enjoying. My number 5 is ABC's The Rookie with Nathan Fillion. If you've never seen before, just a guy in his early 40s. He has a existential crisis where he realizes that he's just kind of stuck in life and decides to become a LAPD officer. And I'm not one for the procedural cop dramas, but this one's been really good. And Nathan Fillion has just been absolutely just killing it this entire show. And the last season ended on such a great cliffhanger. It's absolutely worth the watch. Number 4, Only Murders in the Building, available on Hulu. Steve Martin Short, Selena Gomez solving a murder in their very, very luxurious New York apartment. It's really funny. They have an entire episode that is completely mute, which was really interesting. Overall, just a really good whodunit. And I love me some Steve Martin Short. They have such great chemistry. After all these years from Three Amigos on, it's amazing. It's a really, really fun show. Number 3 is Loki. Same reasons that you talked about. One thing I was kind of curious for your thoughts on this. I've seen some critiques for the show that I don't disagree with, which is, but also I kind of still disagree at the same time of the fact that this version of Loki is not the one who's gone through so much shit in his life where he has earned his redemption. Like, this is still the Avengers version of him where he's still going to be dark, but like he sees a flashback or a flash forward of his life and now he's a good guy all of a sudden. I can see the argument for that, but I've always kind of disagreed with that of like, he saw what will happen throughout his life, and that's enough. I think he's always teetered on the good versus evil, where he's still like, okay, yeah, this is clearly not going to work, and just kind of drops his bullshit. Like that was always my thoughts for. I don't know if you kind of agreed or saw it the same way, or heard that criticism.
Well, my whole thing is that he realized, I think by one seeing his, we can get spoilers, seeing his own death,
Yeah,
and no matter what he would do, that it's never gonna work out, so I have to change.
Yeah.
And I think also just finding someone, funny enough, was also him,
Yeah.
and that he didn't have to necessarily be alone in this world. And I think that made him a better person. Flawed, obviously, consistently flawed, always going to be flawed. But he realized, like, I can't keep doing the same thing because it's not going to work out for me.
Makes sense. Overall, still very fun. Owen Wilson was perfect casting for it too. I think it was just great across the board. My number 2 is Hawkeye. Hawkeye has been. I've always defended Hawkeye as a character. The comic series they based off of. Everything about this felt like it was made just for me. I thought Jeremy Renner was overall did a fantastic job. I love that they gave him his earpiece now too because he's going deaf.
That's right.
Bringing back Kingpin, all of it. The action set pieces, the trick arrows, all of it. And Kate Bishop too. Again, perfectly cast. I'm forgetting the actress's name. Who played Kate Bishop, but she was.
Oh, hey, oh shit. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But keep going. Thank you, thank you, Casfe.
She's perfect casting for it too, and is going to be a great new Hawkeye. All of it was just so much fun to watch. And my number 1, this will be my number 1 probably every year they have a new season. It's What We Do in the Shadows season 3. It is a hard thing to say that they made something that's better than Waika Waititi's version. But this has been a consistently excellent show. And they're doing something that I really appreciate, which is they're not letting these characters stay stagnant. Every season, they are constantly evolving, whether it is the vampires themselves. Nandor himself has gone through some weird shit this season, too, where he joined a vampire cult who they keep telling themselves that they will be cured of their vampirism through exercise and just pretending that they're human, which is super bizarre. There's a unlikely friendship that forms between two of the vampires too, like Colin Robinson, the energy vampire, and I'm sorry, Nandor's the one who was in the cult. Laszlo and Colin formed this great friendship, and it feels really genuine too. And then you see towards the end of the season too why it wasn't just out of the kindness of Laszlo's heart that he kind of learned some things about Colin and he decided to give the guy a piece of kindness. He fucks it up a few times and almost kills him. But, it was really good. And Naja as well. Seeing the Laszlo Naja relationship that initially just comes across as being at least for vampires, being very sweet. But then also you start to realize that Laszlo realizes that she's evil, she's grown up and she's become a very strong, independent woman. And he's always they've done a great job of keeping it very subtle. But if you watch older seasons, he does hold her back sometimes or try to tame her down a bit. And then he realizes by the end of the season, I'm holding you back and you don't need me anymore. Which I thought was initially I thought was very almost out of character or out of nowhere. But then as I thought about it more, was that's beautiful. That's a really it's a selfless act for objectively a very selfish and very self-indulgent character. So seeing his growth was amazing. And Guillermo just going from a timid familiar to a vampire hunter and then their bodyguard has just been so consistently excellent. There wasn't a bad episode. When they go to Atlantic City and are just they're miserable because they didn't have their native soil wrapped around their beds, so they're just losing their powers. All of it was so it's well written. They can improv well off each other. They all have great chemistry. If you've not seen this show and you have Hulu, you're doing a huge disservice by not watching it. I can go on and on about the show, but it's genuinely amazing TV.
I had probably had that in my top 10. Yeah. When I initially heard about that they were going to do a TV series, I was like, I don't know. The movie's just kind of so perfect. Why do that? But I mean, it's Taika Waititi and his people working on it. So of course it ended up being great. I have not finished the 3rd season, but what I have watched, I really enjoyed. And yeah, it's an excellent comedy series. I think a lot of people are sleeping on, maybe because they're unfamiliar with the movie. But it's fun. What's fun about it is you don't even have, again, this is why I think it succeeds. You don't need to watch the movie to enjoy this show. I mean, it adds to it. Because they do bring in those characters at various points, which is that's nice for fans of that film. But no, I really appreciate when you don't have to see like the previous material to get into something. And that show, it kills it. Did anyone else see What We Do in the Shadows, the series, or has any experience with it? You're sleeping on it, everybody. You're sleeping on it.
So good.
There it is. I was right. Yeah. Well, thankfully, it seems to be it has an audience because they're doing a 4th season, right?
Oh yeah, it got picked up because it's
Nice.
it's just been absolutely just critically acclaimed across the board for it.
And that's an FX series, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, FX, man, they produce some great content, great comedies too. Yeah, some of the best comedies on TV or streaming right now come from, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which had another great season.
It did.
You know, I haven't finished all of it, but it's great. It's very good.
It hits you in the feels. They did some good work with Charlie this season.
Oh, poor Charlie.
Like I think they've been like, especially it's Always Sunny. I think they took quite a bit of time off between seasons. It felt like it. But this season they like this will be in my top live action for 2022. It's going to be this season. It's Always Sunny. Like they're still staying really, really funny with everything that's kind of going on, and they're starting to do more. I think they did it first with Sweet D when she had a breakdown, and then they gave Mac his episode when he was coming out to his dad, and gave him that really beautiful moment. I think that's when now they did the same thing now with Charlie, where they gave him a real genuine moment of humanity. Which for characters who are genuinely pretty monstrous, it hits you really, really hard. So it's definitely worth the finishing the season. It's only 8 episodes too, which feels really short.
Yeah, I think that's fine. You don't need to do the, like of a lot of cable TV or just, network television. They always feel the need to expand it to 21 episodes a season, however much it is.
Yeah.
You can do just have 8 or 10 episodes and just make sure each one is of quality. Then you're good. Always Sunny is kind of that. It's that weird. It's the longest running sitcom, I think, of all time now. Live action sitcom, that is. Excuse me. And the fact that they've managed to keep up the quality is incredibly impressive. Because usually, once you hit your whatever season, when you get in the double digits, like, all right, just kill this show already. You still has a huge audience, but it's just not as funny. It's not as well written, I think, where they just run out of ideas. That so often happens. And I don't know, I think the fact that Always Sunny, they have carte blanche to do whatever they really want for the most part, I feel like, that they've been able to just express so many different ideas and really push the limits of the comedy. But also these characters, they're pieces of shit, but despite being pieces of shit and serial killers and just scumbags and schemers, that you still like them. You still love them. And maybe it's the Seinfeld effect. Maybe it's like an improved version of Seinfeld. That's what that's what I look at Always Sunny as. It is the spiritual successor to Seinfeld.
They did a whole segment where they mimicked the Bet episode on there like a couple seasons back. But I think these are characters that you're meant to like, but not relate to. Because if you relate to any of these people, you are a terrible person. You need therapy like today.
Oh yeah, some of them are serial killers. So exactly. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Like if you ever get a chance to, they started releasing a podcast where Charlie, Dennis, and Mac are talking through the creative process of each of their episodes, and it's really interesting to see, like, from their very humble beginnings, how they met, how they became friends, and even their general writing process too.
Nice.
It's been really, really fun to listen. And they just started YouTubing their podcast recordings now too. But I think what still works is that they are genuine friends. Like they still have an absolute blast together, and they still write their own stuff, which helps too. They haven't gotten big enough where they start to outsource it to other to writers. Like they're still very much actively part of the creative process, which helps. And the fact that Dan DeVito still is on there too and is getting darker and more corrupting.
Frank's the reason why, at least half of those characters are the way they are.
Yeah.
The bad father figure. No, right. It's an amazing show. I didn't mean to go off on an Always Sunny tangent, but it deserves to be spoken about. And
it does.
Promoted.
So. And to your point, FX just does so much good stuff too, and some of them get cut off really short too. Like Jim Jeffries had a show called Legit, which was almost like the anti It's Always Sunny, but still very dark and still very dirty. Of just like this piece of shit trying to genuinely be better and kind of fucking up along the way. But I think they're just not afraid to like just do what makes sense, or like have characters that you can hate. Like they had the show called You're the Worst, and it's just these two awful people who are just trying to make a go out of it, and they make each other better, but they're still pieces of shit to everyone else.
Right.
So like I like that they take more chances versus like I see some of the shows that like Fox and NBC and CBS are still doing. I was like, God damn, this is awful.
It's the same shit they've been doing forever. So,
yeah,
agreed.
And quick shout out to Brooklyn Nine-Nine too as a runner-up as well too for a great final season. It was a wonderful series finale.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you, Vanny. Mans, what about you? Your favorite shows of 2021? Your favorite show of 2021?
Well, I haven't put them in any sort of order.
It's fine.
I'm going to start with ones that haven't been mentioned yet. Sweet Tooth, aka furry propaganda, as I like to call it.
Excellent show.
Yeah, I got I had heard of the comic, but I didn't really know anything about it. And one of my friends was like really getting on my ass to watch it, and it is a lot more. First of all, it's a lot more engaging than that Why the Last Man show was that I tried to watch. It's a lot. We're getting a bit of apocalypse fatigue, but it is.
No, sure. And I can maybe also understand why people didn't check out Sweet Tooth was because of that. Because it's about a pandemic that devastates the human population. And apparently human children are evolving into these animal human hybrid creatures.
Yeah.
Was that the only show you wanted to bring up, or was there anything else?
No, I've got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I don't see seems to be the most slept on of like the 5 shows that they did. But I really like that one. It just as like a character piece for the two of them. Their bond together that they developed through that is really fun to watch.
No, I've always loved the chemistry between Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. Yeah. Even we saw hints of it initially in Civil War when they had a few scenes together. I like that, and this was the one where they finally become friends, which I think is one of my favorite aspects of that show. Where Bucky is still dealing with the trauma of being the Winter Soldier, and I think through Anthony Mackie's family, he can get some solace, which I thought was really nice.
I forgot that show came out in 2021.
Yeah,
I think all the Marvel shows came out in 2021, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they all did.
I mean, this is a minor spoiler, but my favorite part was Bucky coming to terms with the fact that he has no idea what being black is like, and that he should like defer to Sam's judgment, because he had no idea and Steve had no idea what he was doing by giving that shield to him.
He didn't. Yeah, it's like he just didn't understand what the
other burdens it has
the burdens. Yeah, what that shield means. It means different things to different people, and so it's not like Cap. Steve was like he was bad for doing that. He just didn't experience it. He didn't know because he's still a man out of time.
Yeah, and the Isaiah Bradley arc just makes you cry.
Oh, amazing! I hope they do more of that in the future.
I hope so.
He character prequel series or something. But yeah, because I want to know more about that. One of the best parts of the show.
I forget the guy's name, but I want to see. He did a great job in that.
Yes, totally.
He was the Martian Manhunter in Justice League. That's all I know.
That's right. No, he was also he played he took over for Scatman Crothers in Dr. Sleep. He played that character. He played Doc in that.
That's good casting, actually.
Yeah. You did a great job.
My other one is it's mostly superhero shows. It's Superman and Lois. I don't know if you watched that one.
Ooh, good one.
Great one. It's the best Superman live action adaptation we've gotten since Christopher Reeve.
Yeah. I used to watch Supergirl, which is not as good, but when they featured him, I was like, he's got something that no one else has had since Christopher Reeve. He's the only one I've seen since then that has that same spark.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's the Superman that we've needed for a long time. I have not, I don't want to go on a rant about Superman right now because we'll be here all night. But I really dislike this idea that Superman needs to be dark and he can't relate to people. and he's a murderer. And I'm like, I just don't like that. I'm very much opposed to that. And so many filmmakers apparently think that's a cool version of Superman, which I don't think it is. I think we need a character he's like, look what they did with Captain America. Look what they did with Steve Rogers. He is a good man through and through. He is that character, much like Captain America, much like we saw with Christopher Evans' version of the character, where he will say, he'll put his hand on your shoulder and say, it's going to be okay. And that's what Tyler Hoechlin in Superman Lois, that's what he does. And I'm like, that's what Superman needs to be, whether it be in a TV series or in a comic book or in a movie. We haven't had that in a while. And I like that they focused on that.
Not even when they tried to copy Christopher Reeve in Superman Returns, did they not get that right?
No, they didn't. He couldn't even do it. I mean, there was a lot wrong with that movie, but
there's a lot wrong with that movie.
Yeah. I would say the dark version of Superman got worse when Injustice came out, because that was like, oh look, Superman's gone through all this pain and now he's this dictator around the world. It's like, and then Zack Snyder wanted to go that direction, which I was, as much as I love those, well, not love, but I like those films, I do not need an Injustice. So, yeah.
Well, Injustice was sorry, we're off topic, but I'll say this. That story has always kind of been there, whereas there's like an evil version of Superman, but it just wasn't called Superman. But
Yeah.
Yeah, like weirdly they're doing better with that concept when they're using like Superman XPs instead of actually Superman.
Well, that stuff works because it's a contrast to the good guy Superman. Without it, it's kind of pointless.
Exactly.
Because you don't have that contrast. It's kind of like one of the issues you have with Venom. Venom works because it's a contrast to Spider-Man. Without it, it's just a bunch of brooding.
Yep. 100%. Was it the last one you had, Person Mans? Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going.
I just wanted to mention Loki. And I was the main thing I wanted to mention is that I love there are a lot of really out there Easter eggs in Loki.
Sure, I'm sure there were.
Like they went deep into the well to find some of these things.
Yeah.
They showed like the Thanos copter at one point.
Yep, that's true. I love that limbo world that they went to. That was
they
great.
showed the Thor frog. And the other thing I want to say is like I was really impressed. Like the chemistry Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston have is like insane.
Yeah, 100%. No, they're great. I love their back and forth of each other.
And finally, Hawkeye I think was a great show to end the year for Marvel with. It was even though it came out in November, but the last episode was the last thing.
Sure.
And I know that I kept telling you that Kingpin was not going to show up, but he did a great job when he did.
Yeah. I was right. I was proven right. I knew he showed up.
Quit dreaming.
I really like Hawkeye. I was like, okay, he's in it. So I'm glad they're incorporating slowly over time the Marvel characters from the Netflix shows, though not all of them will cross over. The ones that are popular will.
You just say Iron Fist. We all know it's Iron Fist.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I figured that when they announced that Echo was getting her show, I figured he would debut there. But because like if they're not going to include him, there's no point to doing Echo. But, that's all I have for my list.
No, cool. No, thank you. Xavier, what about you? Your favorite shows of 2021 and your favorite show of 2021?
I don't have a list. There's one show in particular I wanted to talk about, but two shows I did want to mention that I didn't finish, but I did watch a couple like episodes of.
Sure, no, that's fine.
What is it? Superman and Lois or Lois and Clark? But the Superman
Lois.
show.
Superman Lois.
That I would that I think is like an honorable mention, and also the final season of Black Lightning. I haven't watched all of the CW shows, but I know Black Lightning. I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed, and I highly recommend. And what I've seen of Superman and Lois, I would recommend that show as well. I have to get back on it.
Nice.
But the show that I did want to talk about was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier. For me, this is my favorite of the MCU, shows. Definitely one of my favorite, MCU properties of 2021. I think the reason I like this show so much is that I like I like the boys, but my biggest issue with the boys is that it's extremely pessimistic about the world,
Sure.
and I feel like uh, Captain America and Winter Soldier, like that, it shows the issues that are wrong with the world, like all the issues that are happening in the world, and but it's still able to be like, even with all this bad stuff happening, there's still like glimmers of hope. You have Bucky, who's like kind of like being pessimistic about things there. You have Baron Zemo, who's like, oh, superheroes are bad. Like there are no good people. And then you have, of course, the antagonist of it. I think her name's Carly, who, of course, she's like, we want to go back to the way things were, before everyone came back from the snap. And so, but they have all those issues going on, but they're still like, yes, but there's still hope out there. There's still things that we can change, and we can like try and work together. And yes, people can maybe say it's corny, and there are corny elements of the show. Like, I think that the speech at the end, I personally kind of liked it, but I can understand if people were like, I thought it was a bit heavy-handed. Or like, even I think in like the first two episodes, when they were dealing with like racial profiling, or there was something else that they had too, but like those were a little bit heavy-handed too. But still, I think for the show as a whole, I still really, really liked it. I think my favorite episode was not the penultimate episode, but the episode like right before that. It was the one where U.S. agent, he kills someone and everyone sees it. And I think the reason I like that episode is, one, I don't remember if it happened in Wanda Vision, but I think this was like the first time that we actually saw like, or maybe for me, I got like really excited about a crossover because we saw the Dora Milaje come in. Because like when that ended on the last episode, on the episode before that, I was like, oh shit, like we got the Dora Milaje in here. And then when we see the Dora Milaje fight, I was like, okay, this is amazing. And then it just keeps escalating from there. And then also one moment I really liked was when they asked, I forget U.S. agent's partner, but they asked him, would you take the super soldier serum? And then they asked, Sam Wilson if you would take the super soldier serum. And I thought it was very interesting that they asked the two black characters in the show, would they take it? After everything that's been going on with them with black people in general throughout the history of America, like, would you take this? And U.S. agent's partners like, of course I would take it. I would do whatever. Have these powers. Of course I would take it. Whereas Anthony Mackie's like, no, I'm good with it, with the way I am. I'll just, I've been able to get by the way I've been able to get by, so far. And so, yeah, just really like the show, really like the character, made me really like Bucky. Was never like the biggest fan of him for a while, but now after watching the show, I really like him, and now I can, instead of just now, I feel like Sam Wilson has earned the shield, whereas before it was like, Sam Wilson should be Captain America because Steve gave it to him. I feel like in this show he earned it, and yeah, and I can't wait for the movie to come out whenever they make it.
That's right. That was one of the exciting aspects of the show. That okay, we are going to get a fourth Captain America movie, and it is going to be Sam Wilson as Captain America. So yeah, I can't wait. No, I like I said, that's definitely, if I had to do my top 10, I would have Falcon Winter Soldier in there. I mean, I love that they also brought back the political espionage angle, which is part of Winter Soldier. Which I love. Which is why one of the reasons why that is one of my favorite Marvel movies. It's when they really started to blend different genres into their superhero films. So no, excellent pick, man.
And another thing I wanted to point out was, one, of course, it gave us the Zemo jerk, but also
hell yeah.
I like that they always have like these subtle nods that people might notice. I was like actually watching a little bit of it earlier today, where Zemo, I guess he has an argument with Bucky, and then Sam Wilson gets in between them. He's like, cool it down, let's calm down. He's like, he's gonna do that. He was saying that Zemo's gonna do that long stare where he tilts his head to the side, and then you see
Sure,
Zemo
yeah,
fix his
yeah.
head, and it's like they have those little things there. So always like that.
Yeah, that's a nice little gag. I love that. Well, it just shows how thoroughly well developed these characters are. Where you notice little ticks and tells and stuff, and yeah, I just appreciate that. It makes the world feel so lived in and thoroughly developed, which is what Marvel has done so well for the most part. These last 10 years. You want to say something, Person Mans?
There was something that I forgot to mention about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I like how if because of the original plot for Falcon and the Winter Soldier was that the Flag Smashers were going to release a virus to kill
that's correct
roughly half. So COVID sucks, but because of that delay, they introduced a plot that's infinitely more interesting.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, a lot of people forget that was initially going to be a part of the series, but they scrapped it because of COVID, because of the this once in a century pandemic. But no, thank you for bringing that up and the details up. Now moving on, Kazfei, what are some of your favorite shows of 2021 and your favorite show of 2021?
Okay, well, I have a list of 8, although a lot of them have been talked about already, so it should be quick. Number 8 is Fantasy Island on Fox. They did a remake. No relation to the Blumhouse movie. It's a reboot and a sequel to the original, and I think it's pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's been getting fairly good reviews, and it got renewed for another season. And also, of all the episodes I've seen so far, each one has managed to make me cry at least once. So that's something.
Okay. Very cool. I had no idea that they had done a reboot, so that's amazing.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know if other people do. It's been getting lukewarm reviews, but I'm glad that it's getting a chance.
Hey, as long as you like it, that's what matters. It's all about our personal favorites, so that's cool.
Number 7 is Only Murders in the Building, which Vanny covered. I also want to mention that I like how they're doing a podcast, and it's like a show within a show. And it gets kind of meta with talking about true crime and how people get wrapped up in these sensationalized stories, because even I kind of get into those TV shows and podcasts sometimes.
Sure.
And number 6 was Hawkeye, which everyone else also covered. I just loved everything. Great blend of action and comedy. Number 5 is Resident Alien on Sci-Fi, which is a bit of a dark comedy, a bit of a satire. Yeah, it feels like a weird combination of Dexter, House, and Starman.
I love that. John Carpenter's Starman. Yeah,
that's a perfect description of it. Yep, so weird.
You're not the only one that's brought that up too. Martin Thomas of Double Chelsea, he's also recommended that show to me as well.
Yeah, I'm a few episodes into it, but I love it so far.
Nice.
Number 4 is Loki. I just love multiverses. I'm glad that Marvel's doing something with it, and this show has been a game changer in more ways than one for Marvel, and I can't wait to see what happens. Number 3 is Kevin Can F Himself on AMC Plus. It's a satire mainly of sitcoms that have the bumbling husband trope and the wife is kind of pushed to the side. And this one, it cuts away from all of the laugh track scenes to show all the shit that she's up to and kind of how her life is going all to hell while her husband's just laughing it up. It's a really good commentary and also kind of depressing, but it needs to be said. Number 2 is Wanda Vision.
Yeah. Yep. Great one.
Yeah, I feel like ever since all the other Marvel shows have come out, it's people have been kind of sleeping on it. People have been saying, "Oh, well, I think this show's better. I think that show's better." WandaVision has still been sticking out in my mind. I love the way that it handles grief and trauma, and I love the surrealness of it. And I'm also excited to see what happens with Monica.
That's true. Yeah, Monica, and we also have Agatha Harkness too. She's getting her own series. No, I know. The thing is, I've loved all the Marvel shows this year, and WandaVision I think it was maybe hard for people to get into at first because they couldn't wrap their heads around the whole idea that of the sitcoms where it was doing like the 1950s and then 60s and things like that. And they're like, I don't understand. I don't like the pacing. But as it got deeper into the show, I liked that it was just Wanda trying to deal with her trauma in the worst way possible. But no, her performance is amazing. And Paul Bettany's performance was great. I mean, I love that line in the show is, what is grief if not love persevering? I mean, it's beautiful. It's it's just that to me just that is what the show is. So yeah, no, excellent pick.
Yeah, and I just love that it's not afraid to show how complex and outright flawed these characters are.
Mm-hmm.
And my number one, which even surprised me, is a show called Cruel Summer on Freeform, which is sort of a mystery thriller, but it also delves into some really heavy topics with a lot of brutal honesty and a surprising amount of grace, because on the surface, this show looks like just another Pretty Little Liars knockoff, but it really isn't. It takes some of the tropes that Pretty Little Liars would romanticize too much or be too exploitative about. Like, they don't really know how to read the room. And Freeform, which also brought us that show, it took Cruel Summer and sort of injected doses of reality in where it was needed. And I just think it balances the cheesy melodrama with the seriousness. And also, I love that it takes place in the early 90s, and there's a lot of time skipping from 93 to 94, 95, kind of showing us how these characters change over the years and little tidbits of who might be hiding what, because all of these characters have secrets. And it has a great 90s soundtrack as well. Like, the music is used perfectly in every scene to just capture the emotions and the angst, because it is centered around teenagers. And I'm a little embarrassed that I like it as much as I do, but it is getting great reviews from critics as
I'm looking up right now. It got renewed for a second season. So apparently a lot of people are watching and they are passionate about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, the first 3 minutes of it are kind of cheesy, and I was like, "Oh, what did I just get myself into?" But it yanked the rug out from under me really fast. It was almost like poking fun at me, because I think it lured people in with the Pretty Little Liars angle, and then they're like, "Well, we fooled you because we have some substance too."
Nice. No, you know what? I haven't really checked out Freeform, but that's cool that we have like a series that kind of went under the radar, I think, for a lot of people, but clearly has an audience and is popular and is getting a lot of critical recognition. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for your best of list. Do you have anything else you wanted to add? Any honorable mentions?
There is one. It's this show on the CW called Two Sentence Horror Stories. It's inspired by a subreddit where basically it's sort of a dark version of a joke with a punchline. The sentence is something seemingly normal, like, "I don't have many friends." And then the punchline is something creepy, like, "That's why I keep their bodies in the basement."
Okay. What is this on?
It's on the CW.
CW.
It's kind of lame, but there were a few episodes that I kind of liked. It wavers between being something like The Twilight Zone or Room 104 and then an adult version of Goosebumps, which I don't know if they were trying to do that, but it's fine. I'll watch it if I've got some time to waste. It was I only saw a few episodes.
Nice. Hey, I love Goosebumps. That might be something fun for me to check out. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Casfe. Thunder Lee, Jacob, your favorite shows of 2021, your favorite show of 2021.
I have a list from 10. So
Go for it.
Number 10 is The Mighty Ducks Game Changers. It's the sequel to the trilogy movies. And in this point of the show, the Mighty Ducks is a big like kids hockey team, but they've gotten to the point where like they won a bunch of championships and stuff, and all they want is success, and they have like a really a asshole coach who is really looking for success. And so like one of the characters, Evan Moreau, he gets cut from the team, and his mom gets upset, so she ends up making her own hockey team, and she tries to find a hockey rink and stuff, and she ends up seeing Gordon Bombay, who has fallen from grace again. How many times this man has fallen from grace in these movies is hilarious to me. But it's an interesting journey of how Evan's mom's just trying to get back at the Mighty Ducks. How Gordon Bombay is trying his hardest. Well, he doesn't want to be part of hockey, but he has that itch again to like coach a team. And Evan Moreau just wants to like play hockey. That's all he really wants to do. So it's a really good show. It's a kids show. It's on Disney Plus. Disney Plus. And I recommend it, honestly. Number 9, I'm gonna head into wrestling territory with this one, but it's All Elite Wrestling's Rampage on TNT Friday nights. It started around like April, Mayish. No, I take that back. Around like the summertime, and that first episode had to had everybody's expectations go crazy, because with that show they started off with a championship match, and then they also continued storylines from the main show on Wednesday nights that was perfect. But yeah, the show is an hour long, which is perfect for wrestling on Friday nights because it's late, 10 o'clock. So yeah. Number 8 is the Wednesday show, All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite. The way that this show has gotten better after the way that 2020 ended for them with the death of one of the wrestlers, it amazes me. They had great storylines with one of the wrestlers, Britt Baker. The rise of Hangman Adam Page, which was fantastic. The title reign of Kenny Omega. It's everything about that. Well, even though it has its flaws in that show, the show was entertaining from beginning of the year to the end of the year. So yeah. Number 7, Hawkeye. I enjoyed Hawkeye for what it was. Hawkeye finally getting the spotlight. Yeah, the recognition, the spotlight, after technically being like, you know, the middle of the road Avenger, you know, no one really cared about. And Kate Bishop was awesome in this show. I really enjoyed her arc in this show too. And Echo, that's the deaf chick, right? Echo?
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed Echo a lot. So yeah. Number 6 is kind of like another wrestling show, but this is more drama than anything. It's called Heels. It stars Stephen Amell from Arrow and Alexander Ludwig, and it's basically like a dramatic version of what the wrestling industry is. So like they show like, oh, you have to be kayfabe, which is like stay in character throughout the whole time. The brothers, they have like a rivalry, mostly because the father left one of the brothers to be the owner of the company, and he's really selfish until like midway through the season, where he has to look over his younger brother and stuff. So it's a really cool show. I recommend it. It's on Stars. If you have Stars on Hulu, it's a great show. Number 5, Chucky. I can't tell you how much it is to see Chucky on TV and not on like straight to streaming on demand stuff. Chucky is perfect for TV. and like they cover a lot of topics in the show, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Props to USA and Sci-Fi for picking it up, honestly, and having another season coming soon. Number 4, this is gonna be like my one animated pick, but What If. I enjoyed What If, especially towards like the later episodes. It's I think is well animated, and a lot of the episodes ends up getting their own shows. So I'm excited to see the future of What If and those shows that spawn from it. Number 3, Loki. I really like Loki a lot. This is like the origins of the multiverse, technically. So we get to see multiple versions of Loki. We get to see the Owen Wilson and stuff, and like the fact that Loki and Sylvie, like Loki's learning from Sylvie and stuff, and starting to have feelings about himself is hilarious. But yeah, the show is fun. I enjoyed it. Number 2, Wanda Vision. WandaVision is honestly slept on a lot. I enjoyed like every aspect of it. Elizabeth Olsen is fantastic. Poor Bettany is also fantastic. Catherine Hahn's the standout as Agatha. Like, holy crap. Especially with her own theme song there.
Oh yeah, iconic theme. Yeah.
Evan Peters showing up. Oh wait, I don't know if that's Evan Peters showing up was something out of nowhere, and I think that was the reason why I got back to subscribing to Disney Plus. Like, oh snap, Evan Peters! Holy crap! Oh, I love Monica's introduction to the MCU, so I'm excited to see where her character goes. And I'm just trying to see if Randall Park's character. What was his name again?
I always call him Randall Park, or
Yeah.
I call him Jim from The Office.
Jim from The Office. But
a little office humor there.
Yeah, Randall Park is honestly one of my favorite characters. Like because he started in Ant-Man. That was his first introduction, and to see how his character has evolved, especially with the magic tricks, it's very cool. And number 1 is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I honestly believe this was the best show on Disney Plus this year. It covered a lot of heavy topics, like to racism, to the government being freaking fools and stuff. I actually did enjoy US Agent, even though everybody hated him.
I think they hate it, and it's like, yeah, it was weird. Like, you're supposed to hate him though. That's that's the point. But you have some of these goddamn weirdos that have no lives who are like, I hate the actor. It's like, what are you talking about? He's playing a character. Yeah. So it's bizarre, but yeah.
Hate the character, not the actor.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Plus, the actor is fantastic. Like, whoever. Yeah, it's funny because I always see Kurt Russell. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I can't wait to see what he does in the MCU at some point, whenever that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Bucky. His character arc. Well, his character evolves to like liking Sam, and Sam's doing the same thing too. Like, they have to work with each other, because if not, things is not gonna go well. Baron Zemo is also a highlight, which, as you guys said, the Zemo jerk.
Hell yeah.
And like, he also is weird because he also respects Bucky and Sam, even though he does have his own like whatchamacallit,
Motivations.
his own motivations, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we also get to see the Zemo mask, which that looks so good in live action. So yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, no, great. No, a lot of people seem to have Falcon Winter Soldier as their top 3, and no, like I said, I love the show. Just didn't quite reach my top 3, but still great, and I'm excited to see how that's going to branch off into the rest of the MCU, and whether it be the shows or the movies. And we are getting Captain America 4, which they're excited about that. But thank you for going over your best of live action shows 2021, and now we'll go ahead and get to Osnick. Osnick, your favorite shows of 2021, your favorite show of 2021.
Okay, so a lot of stuff has been covered here, so I'll go through them quickly. My number 10, sorry, I may have misnumbered them. I was kind of just trying to fix this before.
No, that's fine.
My number 10 was Midnight Mass, mainly just for, I like Raul Coley as a person and as an actor. I think he's great. He's a giant Star Wars nerd. I got to respect the man for going line by line and reading all the prequel films while drunk.
I'll do it.
He did that.
Nice.
And I'm excited he's going to be in the next Mike Flanagan show with his new best friend, Mark Hamill.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. My number 9 is Letterkenny. I actually started watching the show because everyone's been hounding me to, and I've really just been enjoying it. It's a very funny, it's very redneck Canadian, but very funny. I would highly, I don't know what it is on in America, but I would check it out if you can. My number 8, which is actually just a special, I know Vandy put this on his favorite movies list, was I really liked Muppet Haunted Mansion. It's shout out again to great Muppet person Ryan Walterson. Anyway, it was just a really fun Muppet thing. I like Pepe. I like Gonzo. I like how we got focused on them. I've never been on the Haunted Mansion, so all that stuff didn't really... I'm like, I don't really know what it is, but I'm like, okay. I'm like, I like this stuff. It was fun. Will Arnett was really cool in it. And it was just overall just a pretty fun, cute thing with some good songs and some good, Muppet humor. That was 7, 8. Sorry. See, that's why I messed up my numbers. I think this is 7 is Squid Games. Just kind of like you saying, it was. I think you were the one who told me about it because you had to watch it for Double Toasted.
Yeah, I did. That's true. I did.
And then I watched it. I'm like, I really enjoyed it. I switched back from the English to Korean, and I preferred the Korean surprisingly.
Same. I couldn't listen to the English.
I really love the music and the set design in it, and if any problems I have really with it, it just reminded me of like, what you said with the Battle Royale and Danganronpa a lot with the like whole childlike aesthetic, but then
sure, yep. They trick you with the aesthetic.
I still love that honeycomb game. That probably is my favorite part of it. Just I don't know why. I'm just like, there's something really messed up about it, but something really messed up about murderous children's games. But I'm like, this is a really smart idea. And again, all the what was the word you said? Not references, but like discussing how South Korea works.
Critiques?
Yes, that was it. Critiques on, capitalism in South Korea. If any, my only other issue, and this is more just an issue because of how big it got, is now that we're seeing like merch of it and people dressing up as it, just like, oh boy, it's just becoming part of capitalism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my number 6 is Hawkeye. I really enjoy Hawkeye. I think it's a great show, but I think it's a good. If anything, I just think it's. I really like it. It just I found myself liking other ones maybe more, but I felt like it was a good show, and I've always really liked and appreciated Hawkeye as the kind of he's the down to earth hero that like that's always my favorite line in Age of Ultron. It's like there's robots, we're on a flags thing, but I have a bow and arrow. I'm taking this in. And I enjoy learning about him and kind of also learning seeing new kind of the more street level heroes of the Marvel universe. I always think are interesting. That was 6. This is 5 was Captain America and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier / Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I really like this show too. It made me like Zemo. We got his mask, which I did not really enjoy. I thought Zemo was probably the worst part of Civil War, just because his plan is like, I'm going to put you in a room and show you a VHS tape, and then maybe you will fight each other. It worked. I mean, it worked, but it just seemed like a lot for, you just could have posted it on YouTube, man. But I think the show makes me like him. Anthony Mackie's great. Sebastian Stan's great. No offense to, I understand the show went through a lot of COVID changes, but I felt like that. I didn't. My one problem is I didn't love that last episode. Just it kind of felt like, we kind of wrapped that up quickly, and then the whole reveal of Agent 13, and I'm like, I was just kind of confused by it. But yes, it could give us the Zemo jerk, as many people have said, and it was overall a really good show. And yeah, like a lot of people said, I'm excited for more stories with Bucky and Sam Wilson as Captain America, and see. And yes, Isaiah Bradley was the best part for me, as many people have pointed out. My number, that was 5. This is 4. I guess 4 is Wanda Vision. I just thought as the first show in Disney Plus, I just really enjoyed it. Again, I just really enjoyed how every week it was. I liked how they did both classic sitcoms, and they really went through the timeline. They went to like cover stuff like Malcolm in the Middle. They covered more like Modern Family, but they also went through like they did they did a really good top for bottom. I really enjoyed the acting. I enjoyed that it brought us the great chat joke of, did you know Speed and Wiccan is in that show, Chris?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, it was just a very fun show, and I feel like for a lot of people, it got a lot of people who weren't really interested in Marvel, and just I know a lot of people don't like the final episode, but I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see and again also. It made me like the one person I never liked in any Marvel movie, which was what's her name? Darcy?
Yeah, Kat Dennings' character.
Yeah, Kat Dennings, who's was probably one of the worst things. That it's like, wow, she's actually really good in this show, and
they give her good material.
Mm-hmm. And also, I like all these Marvel shows. I like how they actually gave them all their old costumes. Well, I guess I've Hawkeye. Maybe that's why I don't. I wanted Hawkeye to have the stupid eyes thing. But. I like how we get to see all the we see their like OG costumes, and then my number 3 show was Loki again. You get to see the old man. You see all the variants of Loki. But yeah, I just enjoyed. I think this was always the most surprising show, just for how it just seemed so weird. That it was like Owen Wilson, and it's going to be about Loki and like time travel, and I think everyone was just it just blindsided everyone with how good it was and how interesting it was, and just all the like variants and multiverse stuff. And I think that ending, it has the best final episode of any of the Marvel shows, no doubt. And it even has a great penult, but it's just wow, it just felt with all the whole this person's Mephisto, this is gonna happen. It felt it felt satisfying in the end. My number 2, which was sort of a show I don't think anyone here has seen. It was called Saturday Morning All-Star Hits. It's kind of an animation live action show. If you guys saw the movie Brigsby's Bear, and I think Kyle Mooney.
Yeah.
This is his show. It's on Netflix. It came out right at the end of December, I think the 21st. And so the show is basically a bunch of chronologues. If you ever of a 90s Saturday morning cartoon block, and they're all kind of parodies of very 90s shows. So you get a Denver the Last Dinosaur parody. You get kind of a more Care Bears, Muppet Babies parody. You get a parody of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you're also kind of watching the story of these 2 twin PJ hosts of this block. Kind of one gets more famous and one gets more sidelined, and you see sort of other very they go for the jugular. They make a parody of Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue. I'm like, wow, this, and Paws, and just how corporate and how messed up 90s cartoons, and it ends in such a really interesting, like they even do like a kind of parody to OJ in a certain way. I don't want to say what it is, but it's like, oh wow, I did not expect it. And but it's just like it really gets it's just a really good parody of like just 90s nostalgia, like late 80s and 90s nostalgia, and also just like really kind of messed up. And they do one parody of like Bobby's World that is just it is very messed up, I'll say. But yeah, I would check that out if you guys haven't seen it. And then my number one show, which was actually covered by a few people, was Only Murders in the Building.
There it is again.
Yeah, so I think a few people here touched on it, but so basically the plot of the show is Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. They all live in a very nice New York apartment. And they all find out they're all true crime podcast fans. And then there's a murder there in their apartment. And then they decide, okay, we're going to investigate the murder, but do a podcast about us investigating the murder at the same time. So that's just kind of the logline of the show. And then you kind of find out more about their lives, and sort of, it's just a really good whodunit murder mystery that like really makes you question the characters. And it's just such a good comeback for Steve Martin, Martin Short, who, not to say they haven't been anywhere, but I feel like, yeah, they haven't been doing as great stuff, but it's not only funny, it's surprising. You get really good performances from like some really good guest stars that I don't even want to say. I mean, you get I haven't seen Nathan Lane, and he does an amazing job in this. And to a much larger point, I really enjoy it because I think to a lot of people really understand what liking a podcast is about, and like why people enjoy it, and like how communities are kind of built from it, and like even though it starts off with like, oh, it's more about the podcast than the figuring out, who the murderer is. I do like how, the characters grow and there's changes, and it is very relatable, I think, to people. And I watched this on Disney Plus. I'm like, there was a moment I'm like, can you show this on Disney? Like, there's a thing in it. I don't want to say what it is, but let's just say something haunts Steve Martin, and I'm like, I don't even know if this is on a Disney thing. I'm like, how did you get this? And yeah, I just love, like, I every time an episode would drop, I would be like, I would be thinking the day of like, well, how could I'm like, who could have done it? Who could have been this person? Could have been that. If that person did this person did that. And like Vanny said, they do a lot of different point of view episodes. Like there's a whole episode where it's, I think muted, and it's just such a fun, great show. I'm really happy it's getting another season. I want more people to check it out. My sister got me into this. It even has the thing that Dune was missing. So
very nice. Very nice. No, that seems to be a lot of people's favorite show this year. Definitely in their top 3 or top 5. So no, thank you for going over that, Austin. And now Deadpool. Ending with you, good sir, your favorite TV shows, live action TV shows of 2020, your favorite live action TV show of 2021.
All right. So I have a list of 5 of my top 5, plus I have 2 honorable mentions. So I'll just start with honorable mentions, get them out of the way.
Feel free.
Superman and Lois. It's the reason it's honorable mentions because I haven't watched all of it yet, so I can't really decide where it goes on the list until I finish the first season. So, and get up to speed on where we're currently at. So, but from what I've seen so far, it's fantastic. And clear from everyone else's reviews on it, it's definitely something I need to pick up soon. So that's why it's honorable mention. And my other one, mostly because I have mixed feelings about it, but it's still worth talking about, is the live action Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one's a mixed bag. I think that it's well casted. I think they do some things right with them trying to do a straight adaptation of the anime while trying to do their own thing. But I think they also missed the mark on a lot of stuff too, whether it's them trying to put their own spin on it or them trying to adhere too much to it. I'm kind of disappointed that we're not going to get to see more of it, because I want to see how some of the stuff plays out. And I think probably one of the biggest issues with it, which is I think it's a double-edged sword, is they try to make the main characters too likable. Which in some ways I thought worked because it made me like the characters more. But otherwise it's like it seems like it missed the mark of what the show was going for. But I think it was definitely a worthwhile endeavor. But the problem is, it's such a beloved anime and such a just such of a like a top tier standard gold standard anime.
It's iconic.
That if you don't hit the mark 100%, people are going to rip it apart.
Yep. 100%.
I think a lot of the people or I think they gave it way too much criticism than it deserved. So that's my 2 honorable mentions. So I'll get into my list, which pretty much everything on my list has been mentioned so far, including the one I thought no one was going to mention. But I'll start by saying this is definitely the year of Marvel television. Because it seems like those are pretty much filling everyone's top lists. So my number 5 is Hawkeye. And of course, it's definitely of all the live action Marvel shows, it's definitely the most fun. It's not afraid to get kind of campy and weird and to go a little bit more gritty and street level. And like Hawkeye's fun. Kate Bishop's fun. I mean, heck, they even took Wilson Fisk and put him in like a Hawaiian shirt.
Mm-hmm.
They made this giant psychopath mobster fun, and at the same time menacing. And of course, we get sassy Black Widow shows up. We get to see her outside of the Black Widow movie, so it's always great to see more of her. And of course, I thought Echo was an excellent new character / villain that they introduced.
Yeah, nice surprise with that.
It was really interesting seeing them how they depict this character, how like just showing not only she's Native American, disabled, and she's deaf at the same time, and able to show how interesting of a character she can be and all that. So it was just a fun time. I think my only issue with it is I wish there might have been 1 or 2 more episodes, just so that we can have maybe more of the Wilson Fisk stuff breathe a little bit more, because it felt like it was rushing to wrap everything up.
That's fair.
But other than that, I think it's perfect. I think it's an excellent, and it's a Christmas show, so you can watch it as part of your Christmas lineup every year if you want to. My number 4, which I was pleasantly surprised to hear someone else mention added to their list, was Resonant Alien. You have Alan Tudyk, an alien who crash lands on Earth, who's plotting to wipe out all humanity, now has to pretend to be a human doctor, and all the wacky shenanigans that go with that. And it's just so fun, and like you have the wackiness of him trying to blend in with the humans, with the actual daily lives of these people in a small town, and it's like their own like interpersonal drama is just as interesting as Alan Tudyk trying to accomplish his mission. And I'm looking forward to the next season. It's just like Alan Tudyk is a natural treasure. He knows how to do. He has a lot of range as an actor. He can do serious. He can do just normal, and he can do these wacky, outlandish characters and voices that we see him in. And like he's also these days seem to be DC's go-to guy for television as well. My number 3 is Falcon and Winter Soldier. As you guys said, it's based on an extension of the Winter Soldier movie, and it hits all the right cylinders. It touches all the stuff that we need to do, like socially, especially dealing with the mantle of Captain America. Where, I mean, for a lot of people, the idea of America and the American flag and all that stuff, patriotism, is not the same for everybody. And I think it does a good job of depicting it interestingly, especially like trying to show it from like a Black American's perspective. And like a lot of people were kind of hesitant about Anthony Mackie taking on the mantle of Captain America. I wasn't. I was always a big fan of him since back when he started with Hawkeye in Hurt Locker. I was always kind of rooting for him, and he definitely went above and beyond, showing that he's more than capable of filling in the shoes as Captain America. That he's just as good as Chris Evans, and in some ways probably better in certain aspects. They're both definitely 2 different kinds of actors, but they both are able to kind of hit their stride as this iconic character. And I just love that Bucky, we just get to see just a case study of someone going through grief, trauma, and oh, I've done some really messed up stuff and I need to make amends. Just trying to see him, how he deals with this world, and just see this this almost cop buddy show form out of their relationships. And then I think one of the other parts I think is great, because Marvel always suffers when it comes to their villains. You know,
I think
but,
they've gotten. I think they've gotten a lot better though in the last several years. I feel like whether it be with. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah, keep going.
No, it's okay. So like the Flag Smashers, Zemos, and U.S. Agent, they're all very new. They're not just mustache twirling villains like you can kind of expect a lot of superhero stuff, but they manage to make them nuanced, make them interesting, and you kind of like sometimes you kind of root for them. Like you get where Zemos is coming from. You don't necessarily completely agree with him, but you can see his point of view. The Flag Smashers, you can see their point of view too. And with U.S. Agent, you can see why he ended up the way he did. Like you get to watch these characters go through these events, and I think, and you get to see the nuance of these people, be able to see exactly what happens with them, and it just shows like how well a villain can be constructed. Whether there's like I said, whether Zemos, the Flag Smashers, or U.S. Agent. So it's definitely really interesting to see what they end up doing with a lot of these characters. Whether we end up getting our Thunderbolts with Zemos and U.S. Agent. All right, so moving on from there, my next one is Loki. So like I was excited. I figured Loki was going to be good because everyone loves Loki. He's definitely one of the standouts of the Phase 1 Marvel. Like everyone pretty much universally loves him. So it's going to be interesting what they do with the character, especially since they killed the main version of him out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely interesting seeing because we can examine why Loki is the way he is. Like he has a lot of issues with trauma and trust problems that comes from just how crappy of a parent Odin is. I mean, he literally pulled a colonizer and stole a native child from another place, from another land, and then literally made him conform with their society. So that's always kind of like an interesting aspect of Loki.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see him, like he has that moment of clarity, saying like, so this is what my life amounts to. It's like, here are all these toxic behaviors I keep doing, how much of a narcissist I am, and how I have to break this cycle. And to see him kind of grow, and he literally gets to talk to other versions of himself. Like he gets to have an introspective that a lot of people wish they could have. Like be able to talk to an older version of themselves, or a younger version of themselves, or a version of themselves who went down a different path. Like he literally gets to see himself from the inside out. And we get to see him grow. And of course it's such fun and wacky. And it's like, and it's not predictable either. You don't see what happens next. And of course, at the end we get Jonathan Majors, who is, I think he's fantastic in everything he's in. And we get to see, so this is who one of our next big villains is going to be.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. How he just kind of he chews up the scenery in the best ways possible.
Mm-hmm.
Just commands the scenes. And it's just like it just shows how good of an actor he is and how charismatic he can be. And I'm really looking forward to see what they do with him in the future. And then last but not least, probably my number one, Wanda Vision. I'm actually really surprised how this isn't higher in most people's lists, just because at the time it was almost a cultural phenomenon, because it like in the age of streaming, everyone just kind of binge watches through a show and then they talk about it afterwards. It's not like the old days where like Lost was a prime example, where you'd watch the episode on Sunday and Monday morning everybody in the office would be talking around. The whole water cooler talk about a TV show was kind of lost the moment streaming binge watching became a thing. And WandaVision in many ways kind of recaptured that, with it being released weekly, where everyone was like, oh shoot, I bet this is going to happen, or this is going to happen, or this is significant. So you get a lot of these people who are theorizing, which was almost as fun as watching the show in many aspects. And of course, you get those people who take it too far. But it just kind of recaptured something that a lot of television kind of lost when everything transferred over to streaming. And it was such an out there kind of story that Marvel was telling, because like it's like nothing they've really done before. And it's not. I mean, near the end, it kind of got your typical big budget superhero flick with a big battle, but it was very character driven. It was story driven, focusing on Wanda and dealing through her trauma. And as we're slowly introduced, like clue by clue, what the heck's going on, until it revealed that, oh, Wanda's behind all of this stuff, even though she is being manipulated. And of course, the big reveal of Attica as the villain, which some people predicted, but at the same time caught most of us off guard. We knew she was involved somehow, but we weren't 100% sure.
Yeah,
and she almost stole the show with her acts all along.
Oh, of course. No, she was a big highlight for me. Yeah,
and it gave Paul Bentley plenty of time to showcase his vision, which we really never got much of. And of course, we got a lot of real quiet, intimate moments between him and Wanda, and it's just it just hit all the right cylinders, I thought.
Yeah, no, it's like because we got some brief scenes of their romance in Civil War or in Infinity War, and I wanted more of that because that's a big romance in the comics, and I feel like this show finally gave that to them. They had so many great scenes, and whether loving or arguing, like a real couple. So I really like that they gave that to them, and it's a great show. It's a great show. I think maybe just because it came out so early in the year, maybe that's why it's kind of fallen by the wayside for some people, because we had so many Marvel shows that came out. So we had 5. We had a lot, including What If and things. So, but yeah, no, excellent choice, and that was a lot of people's like top 3 or number 1 in some cases. Luke the Boss, I see you just joined us right now. We were just just wrapping up in terms of our favorite shows of 2021, our favorite show of 2021. What about yourself? Do you have any favorite shows of 2021 and your favorite overall?
Just the general, Loki, Wanda Vision, Mandalorian Season 2.
Does Mando Season 2 this past year?
It ended in December, so it technically didn't qualify for this year.
All right, okay. But yeah, man, hey, you got a Mandalorian episode most recently, so that's true.
Yeah.
No. Thank you for just for adding those, and yeah, maybe some stuff that was super late 2020 you can kind of cross over to 2021. So appreciate that. But yeah, there you go, everyone. That's our favorite shows of 2021. And I guess I was the lone guy that had Midnight Mass on my list. I know that not everyone liked it. I know people had pacing issues there, but I liked it. But no, I'm glad that we got some different shows on here as well. That's pretty exciting. Some stuff I haven't even heard about, so which is always cool. But that will bring it here. That will bring it end to this right here. Of course, as we get into the month of February, we'll be doing all sorts of topics again. This is kind of every January. I think January is going to be our month where we kind of wrap up our thoughts on what came out the previous year. So this was great, and I can't wait until next month and whatever topic we're going to do, because even I don't know at this point. But hope you guys enjoyed Discourse episode 17. It was a pleasure having Deadpool here, Austin, Jacob, Kazfe, Xavier. We had Persamans earlier, Luke the Boss, and Vanny. I hope you guys have a great time, and bye. Bye.
Bye.
Yay, very good.